Catus, Maximus here. Figured I'd do a review of an adjustable wrench since I do so few videos about adjustable Crescent style wrenches. Figured I'd add this one to the mix. That's a joke. I know I've done a bunch recently, actually 5 in a row. Part of my goal with the Crescent wrenches is just to individually document in a little bit more detail, all the different brands. It's one of the most copied and reproduced tools in hand tools in history. I mean, very few other tools are more copied. Those would include things like hammers and open-end wrenches, really. But the Crescent wrench was made by absolutely everybody. In this case, we have the Indestro Super. This one happens to be the 3576 6-inch model. Pretty interesting. What I do find is that they actually have a squared off boxway here. It is a screw. The thumb screw has a threaded pin, screw-in pin. It is staked, but it still can be rebuilt. This one's had a bit of use. You can see some, if we open this up a little bit here, this little guy has seen a fair amount of use. Some pretty good chewing in the jaws there, but they still held up pretty well. Indicates decent quality steel. And I kind of like it when they're a little bit more used because it kind of gives you a better perspective of how well the boxways have held up. This little surface here at the bottom of the moving jaw is a little bit narrow. We'd like to see that a bit wider. It helps with longevity over the long term, especially when you're doing more higher torque applications. One thing we'll check out once again is jaw play when it's closed. And then we'll open this up. I'll say the thumb screw could be a little bit larger diameter. We'll open this up. There's a bit more play when it's all the way open. That would indicate parallelism between the broaching of the wave for the moving jaw and the grinding of this surface right here. It's still pretty good. There's just a little bit more play when it's all the way open versus when we have it closed down, but not by much. It's a pretty well made wrench. And of course the other thing we look at is how well centered the broach is to the body of the wrench, and how evenly they sanded and grinded each side of the wrench. Surprisingly enough, a lot of manufacturers, they pay pretty close attention to that. So it's actually a lesser quality or more rare wrench, where you'll see obviously that it's offset from one side to the other. And on little ones, it tends to be a little bit worse than on bigger ones, just because a small difference on a big wrench you can hardly see, but a small difference on a little wrench is proportionately a bigger difference and easier to see. So anyway, just wanted to make a little video about this. They are using, of course, a proper buttress thread, and I always remind people that you pull towards the moving jaw. The idea is that you want to put the tip pressure of the bolt higher up on the moving jaws, so it's kind of prying out or causing the moving jaw to want to rock up this way, which is actually the way Crescent wrenches are designed to be used, versus pushing towards the fixed jaw, because in that case it puts a lot of pressure low down on the moving jaw, which actually ends up putting a lot of stress on the thumb screw. And it took me a while to learn that property, and so as you keep your mind on it, you start using it a little bit more properly. Of course, I've never seen anybody care what direction they're using a Crescent wrench with, but I still like to mention that. And once again, mention the interesting fact, and I've seen a few other manufacturers do this, where they use the squared off boxway. I think the idea behind that is it prevents the sides of the wrench from wanting to flare out or splay out under high load situations, because there's actually a flat that it's pulling against versus the traditional rounded one. So as you put more pressure on it, the more it kind of wants to make the back of the wrench or the ways spread apart. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody who's been watching and subscribing, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. Till next time, Catus, Maximus out.